Ladies and gentlemen, let's rig into the video. Let's talk about the PlayStation 4K, shall we? So, some rumours have emerged regarding the upcoming successor, or rather the upgrade to the PlayStation 4 from Sony, which details both the release date and the pricing information for the new system. So, since late GDC 2016, when we first learned that the PlayStation 4.5 or PlayStation 4K, if you prefer, actually existed and developers had supposedly already seen it, we expected the system to probably appear some point in 2017, but that, at least according to these rumours, is not the case. In fact, we're going to see the system on store shelves by Christmas. We haven't got an exact release date, just some point during the holiday season, so let's say probably mid-November onwards. Now, the price of the system, however, is going to be at $400 US. Now, these same sources reveal that the PlayStation 4K already has developers working, and the difference in games versus the standard vanilla machine that you may have at your home is, and I quote, noticeable. There are titles supposedly developed with the PlayStation 4.5 or PlayStation 4K, whatever you want to say, in mind, but they will run on a standard vanilla PS4, but with differences in performance, and we can assume graphics and all of the other jazz as well. So we have discussed, of course, the PlayStation 4.5 specifications just a few days ago, and I'll try to remember to link it in the video description along with the article coinciding with this video, also linked in the video description. But the basic synopsis of the article said that Sony were most likely going to have one of two potential systems when it came to the PlayStation 4K. The first is a pretty monstrous system. It would take full use of the fact that, of course, AMD are releasing Polaris for, well, presumably around the same time that the PlayStation 4 debuts, maybe even slightly earlier. And as such, the system would potentially have about twice the performance over the vanilla model. Now, it will not allow games to render truly at 4K, but will offer a tangible, definite, noticeable difference in performance for developers to render at higher resolutions, better frame rates, offer more graphical detail, and will really lend itself well to the PlayStation VR. The second option is the PS4.5 will have additional clock speed on both the CPU and the GPU. Now, we know that the GPU, for the sake of argument, runs at 800 MHz and has two disabled CUs, compute units, which could potentially be activated in this model. How much of a difference would that make? Well, it does depend on the clock speed of the GPU, but we can basically summarize by saying that a modest increase in clock speed, let's say 850 to 900 MHz plus these two additional units, could potentially separate the vanilla and the upgraded model with the same difference between the Xbox One and the vanilla PlayStation 4. So quite a tangible difference, around 500 G-flops in just the GPU alone, which obviously could result in quite a bit of difference when it came to the resolution. And it wouldn't be too bad, because that would basically mean Sony would have this option of simply, I guess you could say, just using the same chips but for different models. So for the sake of argument, chips which were fully capable of running with all of the CUs enabled, because we know that the CUs are there, they're just disabled for sake of yield, but now Sony and AMD have had some time to, I guess you could say, perfect the manufacturing process. All they'd have to do is simply say, well, you know, the ones that we test and are capable of running at this clock speed with all of the CUs enabled, this goes to the more expensive unit, and the, I guess you could say, the redundant chips, the rejects, they go to the regular PlayStation 4. And then obviously the ones who don't even match that criteria will have to be just thrown away or recycled or what have you. Now, this does mean that regardless of the way you look at things, it's not going to happen with the PlayStation 4 using HBM2, which was about as likely as me throwing, you know, a tulip and it hitting the moon. It just wasn't going to happen in any situation. It would be too prohibitively expensive. HBM2 would also be completely overkill and unnecessary, considering that even twice the performance of the PS4, or even 3 times the performance of the PS4's GPU, the system just would not need that amount of memory bandwidth. Therefore, realistically, the two options in terms of memory was always going to be either GDDR5 or GDDR5X, respectively. But we're just going to have to wait, and I'm really curious to see what Sony do with this machine. And I'm also very curious to see how the market are going to treat it. Are they going to love it? Are they going to kick it in the nuts? Well, that, my friends, is not for me to decide. Well, not purely. It's for all of us to decide, and we have to vote with our wallets. We're going to have to say, well, I want this new system, I want higher resolutions, I want better virtual reality, or no, I've bought my system, I'm going to stick with it, I'm happy with it, I'm done. That's all there is to it. Anyway, I'm trying a bit of a new video format, which does take a lot longer to edit. So if you can let me know if you like it or not, and if you'd like me to stick with it. I won't be able to do it on all videos, particularly when I'm working, but for days that I've got off and I've got extra time, I can definitely do it. And as we start to push more towards the channel and it gets bigger, I could certainly start to work more on these videos with a lot more detail in them, and potentially do some presentations and green screens and all the other stuff. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Give it your thumbs up, your love, your affection, because it means a lot to us here at RGT. Anyway, with all of that said, take care of yourselves, and do let me know in the comments, would you, in your Christmas stocking, be buying a PlayStation 4.5? It's going to be very interesting, because if the PlayStation 4.5 is fighting against the NX, presumably, well, I guess it depends if the PlayStation 4.5 is going to release in the same time frame. We could see the NX in, let's say, I don't know, March. We could see it April next year, we just don't know, because Nintendo are being a little cagey. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.